Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. Did you ever think you would get out of the trades to start making videos for a living?
No, not when it started rolling, because I thought I was making good money,
As a tradesman.
Right.
And you were.
Right.
I mean, you had your own business. You were doing really, really good.
Right.
And now you just make videos.
Just make videos.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's insane.
What got you into the trades? What got you interested in becoming a tradesman?
Well, my dad was a welder, truck driver, pipeline type stuff. And as soon as I graduated high school, I thought I was going to college and didn't really know what I was going to do. Right. I didn't have any plans out of high school other than, you go to college, that's the next thing you do. And when it come time to pay, I was like, I don't have money to pay tuition. So I went to work with my dad in construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically the entry into the trades there.
So you go to work with your dad in construction. What kind of construction were you doing in the beginning?
I was just a hand, go get it, a gopher. That's how most of us start out. So the company that I was working for was just a general contractor. But they had, called brine wells in Southeast Arkansas, where they're drilling for brine. You go past the oil, get down to the salt water. And so that's the company. So we were doing concrete pads, little houses, little pump houses, things like that. So basically just general type stuff.
Somewhere along the way, you found out about woodworking.
That was years later.
Okay.
Yeah, that was years later. So that was 1995. I graduated high school, and I didn't start woodworking until 2017.
Man, that is a little bit later.
Yeah. I went into public service. So I worked for my dad for a long time there, and then he started his own company with three brothers, two brothers, and three brothers don't get along very well, right? And
I understand that.
After a few years, that started falling apart, and so I jumped ship and got hired on as a firefighter, and done that for three and a half years, and then went to Arkansas State Police, started working for them.
Okay.
And I did that from 2008. Well, hired on with the Arkansas State Police as a dispatcher in 2006. And then I went to troop school in 2008 and become a trooper. And then from 2008 till 2017, I was a trooper.
So you got 9 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Yep.
Making good living.
Well,
I mean, it's a living. You bring home a check every week. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A check, benefits. You got insurance. You got holidays sometimes. You've got a good career.
Right.
What a lot of people will put 30, 40 years in and say, look, man, I retired. I got a full career in. And you walked away from it.
Yeah. Well, 2017, I started woodworking, right? And because we were broke, like not kidding broke.
No, well, I've been there.
3-4 months behind on your mortgage. Car payments getting late, and so I didn't have any way of making any extra money. I was a trooper, I was a trooper, but life happens. We moved a father-in-law in and took on his stuff, and it just compounded over time. And so I was looking for a way to make some extra money. And one of the easiest ways I could figure out to do that was build stuff and sell it. And so I found this video on YouTube, Jay Bates, building some outdoor chairs. He gave away free plans. He says, you can do it with a circular saw and a drill. I was like, okay, let's try it.
Did you already have the circular saw and drill?
No, I had to borrow it. I borrowed it from my dad and father-in-law, the circular saw and drill. Still have them.
I love that. I borrowed tools from my dad when I first started too, so I get it.
So I borrowed those tools, used his plans, went to the store, bought some 2x4s and started building. First set, my wife drives up, and she's been at school all day. She's a school teacher. She pulls up, and I've got them sitting in the garage. And she's like, oh, thank you. And I was like, we're selling these. And so she helped me stage them up. If it hadn't been for her, they would have never sold. So she made them look pretty, right? And put a rug under them, some pillows in the chairs, took some really nice pictures, posted those for sale, and they sold like that. And I thought, that's all right. I just made $100, $150, where it was.
Okay, so 150 profit.
No, I profited about 100.
Okay. Well, no, and I asked because a lot of people think that, look, I sold that for $50. I made $50.
No. Well, the cost of materials was probably $30 or $40.
There you go.
And then,
and the labor you're learning. So it really don't matter how long it took you.
Right.
You're learning how to do something with your hands.
Yeah. I mean, I built them in less than a day. She was at school while I built them, and free plans helped, right? Because they gave me every cut list and all that stuff. And so I just repeated the process. Those sold, the next ones will probably sell too. And so we started doing that. And then I was like, well, chairs sell, let's make a bench. And a bench sold, and then word of mouth starts spreading in small town USA, and people start, hey, can you make this? Yes. I'm going to figure it out.
Yes, but I'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started rolling. And then from there, I was pretty much busy from that point on. Anytime I had a day off or working swing shifts was kind of a blessing because I worked like 2 to 11 or 3 to midnight or sometimes 5P to 2A. And so I had all day to do.
When you can go get materials.
Yep.
Which for you's a long way. There's not just a supply house around the corner.
We have a local lumber yard, so I can get common stuff.
Okay.
But if you have to go.
And for you, that's a perfect spot.
Right. Yeah.
So
90 miles to Home Depot or Lowe's. So if you need anything major, it's going to be a little day trip.
Yeah. And you can't just order online, have it delivered to you real quick.
No,
yeah.
No, it doesn't happen.
I like that.
But it grew over time. It's just put a lot of hard work, a lot of long days, early mornings. There's a lot of times I get up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just get out in the garage and start putting finish on or something quiet so it doesn't mess with the family or the neighbors. But, it was working, so I was working with it.
How long did it take you to realize, look, I can make decent money at this?
Pretty quick. I mean, but after that first build, when it sold, it was like light bulb. I was like,
yeah, I made $100 today.
Yeah.
If I did that 7 days a week, I make $700 a week.
And I'm telling you, when you're 4 months behind on your mortgage, $100 is huge.
Oh yeah. It can be a game changer.
That's big money. Like I was just desperate to be able to have some money to take my wife on a date. Like we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything extra. And so as time went on and the business started taking off, I was able to take a family on vacation for the first time in years, and that stuff means a lot. When you're broke, it helps.
And you got her involved. She's kind of helping you run the books, make money.
She does all the bookkeeping, has always. At first, she started sanding with me, but that only lasted a week or two. She doesn't like to sand. She figured it out real quick. But she does all the books. She does, when we were building products and stuff, she done all of the staging for me because that's her skill. She's got a marketing degree, and so she knows about how to do all that stuff. And she likes to shop, so she understands how things need to be set up properly to really catch the eye. Right.
Well, and I love this. She sanded for about a week. So now your boss has experience in the field. So
exactly.
She knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
No, I do. Hey, you got to be able to justify it some way. So she did come up from the field, so she's good. No, I do. I like that. And I love the fact that, and I tell people this all the time. If you're a plumber, if you're an HVAC tech, an electrician, even a carpenter, a woodworker, when you go into business yourself, you need support. You need help. And having somebody behind you that supports you, and it's like, look, here, I got this. I'll do this. Makes all the difference in the world.
It's huge.
And because if you're married and you start your own business, you got a partner right there, whether you know it or not.
Well, a lot of people don't understand how much time is taken away from family when you're trying to grow something, right? And we have a coaching community, and we get that. The main question we always get is, how do you manage your time when you have a family and you have a full-time job, but you also want to grow a side business? And sometimes I tell them everything can't stay in a balance.
Right.
Right. Sometimes the business is going to outweigh.
It's going to be way. Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch. And then you have to have that talk, especially if you're married, and you have to have that talk and say, hey, because it calls some, not bad arguments, but discussions, about, hey, you're spending way too much time in the shop.
Right.
And then once we talked about it, and I was like, this is the dream, right? This is working so well. And I think this is going to turn into something. And once she saw that, she's like, I understand. And so there was a bunch of days where she would come out in the shop if there wasn't like noise going on or me creating dust, if I was just putting finishes on or staining or painting, she would come out.
Or sanding. Even watching you sand probably.
Right, she would come out
upsets her.
bring her iPad out and stay in the shop with me and just hang out so we'd have time together. Or when I got into videos, when I was doing my own video editing, she would make a pallet behind me on the floor with her iPad, and we would just be together, you know? And so she's been amazing. Like, she's been such a good support for me.
I love that because that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And, like you said in the beginning, it's like, look, I know tonight's date night, but I got 2 pieces of furniture they're wanting to pick up tomorrow, and that's $400. Can we skip date night tonight? And to have somebody say, look, I understand. You're good. I'll be here. I'll make hot chocolate and sit out here and we'll drink hot chocolate while you finish what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh, takes such a load off somebody.
It does. It's usually, yeah. Yep.
This video is sponsored by High Level. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. Take just a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do now.
So I'm Matt Outlaw. I have 731 Woodworks. Started out as a YouTube channel. I thought that I would make $100 a year off of it. Yeah. And the reason I thought that.
Can you do that now?
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Isn't it amazing?
I have a old channel that I was putting radio scanners because I was a police officer, firefighter. I used to like radio scanners, listen to the radio traffic. Mm-hmm. And so I had another channel that was making about $100 a year on ad revenue. And I didn't understand how to monetize or anything like that as far as any other avenue. So I thought, man, if I could get another channel, it gives me another $100 a year. That'd be great because
that's $200 a year. You'd be living high on the hog.
Because that first $100 or one of the $100 that I got paid from that other channel is what I used to buy the lumber to build my first product. Right. And so I thought, man, if I could just do that, I would have another $100. And so that finally took off, but,
I can double my income right here just by starting a whole nother channel.
Just another channel.
I love that.
But it just slowly evolved over time. I was an Arkansas State Trooper for 13 years. I was actually with them for about 15, dispatcher for 2, then a trooper for 13. And in 2021, went full-time as a YouTuber,
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, people ask me, I'm literally, last night I'm sitting next to Sugar Ray Leonard. And he's like, so what are you doing? I just start giggling. It's like, well, I'm a YouTuber. He's like, wait, what? And it is. Sometimes it's like, how do you say that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But now you're probably making $100 a day. Actually, you're probably making more than that.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, I know how many views you're getting. You're doing good.
We've been blessed.
Absolutely.
Very blessed.
And it's funny because people ask me, and we talked about this earlier, my story of sitting in front of a guy talking about YouTube. And I thought, this guy's stupid. Love the guy to death now.
Yeah.
But when he's up there talking, I had no idea I could make money at YouTube. None. If you'd have told me that, I thought y'all are drinking the wrong Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
There's something in it. You can make a good living on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of fun.
No, it's amazing. It's the best job in the world. I thought when I was an Arkansas State Trooper, I thought this is the greatest thing. I can't believe they're paying
the world.
I can't believe they're paying me to do this.
Absolutely.
I absolutely loved it.
They weren't, now that you look back, they weren't paying you very much compared to what you make now.
No.
And you're not getting shot at.
Exactly. I love the job. More than that, I love the people I work with because dealing with the public is not fun.
Right.
Like most people are good people. Most people, especially where I was at, was just hardworking people trying to make a living. Maybe you catch them messing up, Well, there's that select few, the bad apple always ruins the bunch, right? Mm-hmm. And so when in 2021, or actually 2020, when the channel took off, I saw the potential. I was like, oh man, this would be awesome if I could go full time. I was like, nah, I don't know. Can it be?
Yeah, that'd never happen. There's no way.
But slowly over time, it changed over to, this could happen, I think.
All right, let's get back to the YouTube channel here in a little bit, but let's go back to the woodworking. You build a few chairs, you build a few benches. What makes you want to do stuff like that amazingly? What makes you look? I want to, because it goes from a few 2x4s to okay, now we're getting serious about this.
Yeah.
And I ask tradesmen all the time, what is it? Because I think some people get into stuff like this and they try it for a little bit and they fall in love with it. And they're like, man, I want to get good at this. This could be amazing. And you get some that are like, okay, I just want to make money at this. How can I mass produce this? But I don't care how good it looks. People bought that 2x4 chair. I'll sell them forever.
Yeah.
What was it somewhere along the way that clicked? Makes you think, man, I want to do this really, really good.
I think it's just the creative process. A lot of times, I think as we grow older, we lose a lot of that sometimes because we're just trying to make a living, right? A lot of people's just paycheck to paycheck and trying to trying to survive, and it gives you a creative outlet. And especially as a trooper or anybody in the public service, I get this, or military, I get this a lot, where they're like, it's just you get in the shop and it's just such a stress reliever. And it's just, you forget everything else except for what you're working on.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where most people, especially coming from public service, or, you know, anytime you have any extremely stressful job, doesn't even have to be, you know, service, but it's just such a stress reliever to get out there and just get in your own world. Right. And then you're also being creative, and it kind of lets that part of it out, because I don't draw or, you know, paint or anything like that. When you build something with your own hands and when it's complete, you're like, of course you see all the mistakes, but still at the same time, you can be like, wow, I did that.
Some of those mistakes are beautiful though.
Right.
It's like, you know what, that's character.
Right.
And I love that. So, you know, in your case, I would call that like sawdust therapy.
Right.
Okay. I get on my Harley and ride, or get on my chopper and just go.
Yeah.
And it's wind therapy. The wind is a beating. Okay. It'll blow you off the road. It's all in your face. You got to wear goggles. If you don't have earplugs or headphones in or something like that, you'll get to where you're going. You can't hear a thing. So I call it wind therapy. The wind isn't a good thing, but man, that is the most amazing therapy in the world.
Yep.
Sawdust therapy is what I'd look at for you. It'd be like, look, you got to fight the sawdust. It is what it is. But something about that therapy right there, everything else goes away. There's no problems in the world. There's no politics.
Yep.
There's nobody fighting. It's like, man, I got this piece of wood and look what I just did with this. It's amazing.
It is. It's awesome.
And I'm like that when it comes to plumbing. I was taught by a great plumber. So it's like, look, true plumbing square. And then go above and beyond. The letters turn the right way. Everything's torqued to the right poundage it's supposed to be. Just every little detail. It's like when you're done, you step back and you're just like, you know, it's like, I want to sign my name on this somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. How many pieces of furniture was it before you really realized, look, this could be really something good?
Not many, really. Probably 4 or 5 or 6, probably. I don't know. It just seems like, you know, looking back, it seems like it took off pretty quickly. But I do remember times where you're like, is this going to sell? Is this going to sell? Because I'd post it and nothing happened, you know. But, you know, one of the things that really changed everything, I guess, is when you start getting repeat customers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, can you build
Can
this
you do
again?
this?
And,
yes.
Yeah. And so that's probably when things started really clicking. I was like, okay, well, they're coming back for more. So it was good enough, you know, or they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gives you a little more, what reaffirms that what you're doing is right.
Okay. So that was 7 years ago, 2017. You started out in your garage. You're still in your garage.
Still in my garage.
Why?
For one, I just like it.
It's comfortable.
I like it. It's such there's twofold, right? There's a content reason, but there's also, I just like it.
Mm-hmm. You're home.
I'm home, and some of my garage is taken up by workout equipment. So it's like, I spend my mornings in there. That's my therapy now. I go in there and I work out for an hour or so.
You bet.
And so that little corner of the garage, and a lot of people
do you skip leg day?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. No. I've seen so many guys that man, they look great up here. They take off, they put on a pair of shorts. It's like, dude, you know, there's weights that you can use for your legs.
No, I enjoy squats. So.
No, man, I do too.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, I just enjoy being in that space. It's almost home, right? It is home. It's my home, and the garage is where it all started, kind of. And once my wife let me take it over. But it just feels comfortable. I'm out of space. I've been out of space. We was talking about that earlier. I need to either buy something different or build something different. But I just enjoy being in a 2-car garage.
You know, you can make enough money off YouTube to buy something.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw that out there. If you'll get good at it.
Yeah, I've heard that. We're trying.
How big's your channel now?
670 something thousand. Last time I checked.
And growing
about 15,000 a month or so, give or take, depending on the month.
Crushing me there. I'm going like $4 or $5 grand a month. It's like, man, what's wrong here?
It ebbs and flows though.
It does.
It's YouTube.
Yeah, I've had months like that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think I had a 15,000 day.
Oh wow,
10 or 15,000 in one day, and I'm literally, and I still remember the day it happened. We could tell something's going on.
Yeah.
because it was like 3 or 4 days that this anomaly happened. And I'm literally, I'd go out to eat lunch and I'd look down and be like, oh my gosh, and set the phone down and, you know, you order and you eat fries or something. You look down at it again. It's like, what happens? Got 2,000 subs today? No, since we sat down. And it's like, okay, this is crazy, but it's never happened like that again.
Yeah.
But if it does, I'm going to buy a bottle of champagne. I may fly to Vegas real quick that day.
Be lucky.
But it's neat because to watch. Do you ever go back and look at your first videos?
All the time.
Are you doing better now?
A little bit. That's what I tell people when they're like, so I get, you know, somebody say, well, how'd you get to this? Or how do you talk to the camera or whatever? I'll send them my first video and I'll say, watch that video and then come talk to me. I was so scared to show myself on camera that all you can see it was 2 Sanders. And I was barely talking like this. I was just so scared. It wasn't that I was scared of the camera per se. For one, it's just awkward to look at a camera and talk to it. It's just kind of,
it is.
It takes time.
You're pretty good at it now, aren't you?
I try.
That's your viewer. That's your person.
Natural, you know, and it just gets easier over time. But the main thing I was worried about was friends, family, and coworkers seeing me on YouTube. I was just worried, what would they think? They would judge me or whatever.
So did they?
No, nobody cares.
Did anybody say anything to you?
Never.
Or
Never.
Did they even know you were doing it?
For years, no. And when I left the state police, there was people that didn't have any idea. Of course, state police is pretty big, but there's a lot of people that had no idea I had a channel.
Like, what are you going to do? It's like, well, I'm going to make videos. They're like, you're nuts. That'll never work.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I had several of them try to talk me out of it. So they had me and all that. So one of them even said, you'll be back in a year. It's like, we'll see. And so
what do you do different now furniture wise?
Oh,
you're not using 2x4s anymore.
No, well, we don't build furniture anymore.
No.
Yeah, we went straight content.
So yeah, right. But you're doing woodworking to build for it.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you like building now? Even for content. Well, if you're like, man, we got to shoot a new video, here's what we want to do.
Yeah. We don't do a whole bunch of builds anymore. Okay. But I like what you kind of do what the audience wants. And right now a lot of people want shop type furniture, you know, workbenches, router tables, miter stands, stuff like that. So build videos have been skewed toward that for quite a while. My wife wanted some towel racks, very simple towel racks, like a few months ago. So we built those on the channel, just showing people that you can take a common board, and they were selling for like $400 on Etsy is the reason I built them.
I was going through looking at a bunch of your old videos, and I love see these 2x4s? Look what we're fixing to do. I'm like, man, this is cool.
So she was looking on Etsy and she saw some towel racks. She's like, I'm fixing to order these. So I was like,
no, you're not.
She said, they're $400. Or do you want to build them? Or I was like, no, I'll build this. And so I built them like in an hour, a couple of hours, like they're very easy. And so I was like, this is a good video. It shows you can take, you know, a $6 board and make these things out of it that people are charging $400 for on Etsy. And they were selling on Etsy. Before I looked at them and I started reading through the comment or the reviews. I'm like, this guy's selling it. He's crushing it. You know, a $6 board, and he's killing it. I mean, good for him. You know,
$6 worth of wood.
Yep.
An hour's worth of labor. $400.
Yep.
It's not a bad gig.
No, it's not.
And if you tried making 10 at a time, it probably wouldn't take you 10
you
hours.
Could batch them out things like crazy.
It's like, I know I make 10 at a time in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you find a product like that, we did that too. My wife actually came up with the idea. She's a genius. She wanted a stove cover.
Call when you're working, you got to call your boss. You know,
boss.
Yeah. Make sure you get
my boss
right.
is a genius.
There you go.
So she wanted a stove cover. I don't know if you've ever seen these. They literally sit on top of your stove. Some people, older people, call them noodle boards because they used to make pasta and stuff on them. But they sit on your stove, and there could be a fire hazard if you turn your stove. They're wood. You don't. Right. You would be surprised at how many people don't use their stoves. They only want this thing sitting on the stove for put extra storage on, decoration, stuff like that. And my wife wanted hers for decoration. And she looked on Etsy, and all of them looked the same. They were basically like 4 or 5 boards horizontal, glued together with 2 boards on top with a couple of handles, like drawer handles you put on. And she didn't like the way they looked. So she came up with a handle design. It was like a little wavy looking handle design. And she said, can you do this? And I was like, yeah. And so she drew it out on a board, and I cut it out with a jigsaw, cut a handle hole in it. And I put this thing on there, and she painted the way she wanted it and everything. And we set it on the stove. I took a few pictures of it. And it was like $20 in material, maybe, if that. And so I started selling locally for like $65, and they were selling like crazy. I was like, I'm gonna put these on Etsy.
Maybe not charging enough.
Yeah,
here.
I know. And so I put them on Etsy, and over time I raised the price. I just kept raising the price because I couldn't keep up with the orders of these things. And every time somebody would want a different color, I would put them on the stove. She would pretty them up and I'd take pictures of them like that. Really good pictures. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to sell stuff. And so I would just get different variations of these things every time somebody ordered a different color. And I sold hundreds of these things, hundreds of them. I couldn't make them fast enough. Etsy lets you.
And what did you get your price up to by that point?
$149 shipped anywhere in the U.S. because Etsy gives priority to free shipping. And like we made thousands and thousands of dollars on these things, and it took me an hour to make one. If I was just making one, if I had multiple orders, I could, make 3 or 4 in an hour and a half or so, because you just get that production process.
You got your jig going, you bet.
Yeah. And so we did really well with those. Like those are doing well for us.
What have you been asked to build that you're like, man, I just don't think I can do that?
Everything from anything after that 2x4 chair set, anything after that. And a lot of times I would say,
and you don't mean anything that you can't build. You're like, I can build anything.
Yeah. And so
I love that.
They would send me a picture of a table, like a dining table. One of my first customers, custom customer, she sent me a picture. She said, can you make this dining table? And I showed it to her. I was like, I can't do that. She said, yes, you can. And I was like, I can try. And so I told her, I was like, I've never built nothing like that, but I'll try. And she's like, okay, go for it. And so she just, I guess, had confidence that I could do it. And so I built that. And then everything after that, like some lady sent me a picture of a dog kennel, indoor dog kennel. She's like, can you make that? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll try. And the main thing is you just got to try. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit on what we can actually accomplish when you put your mind to it. Is there going to be mistakes? Yeah, you're going to mess up. Is it going to cost a little money here and there? Yeah, it's going to. But over time, you figure it out. If you try hard enough, you're going to figure it out. It's like my wife, she always says, she's like, it's made of wood. It's not stone, right? So it's not set in stone. It's just made out of wood. And so you can always fix it. So,
it's such a great mental mindset place to be in. It's like, look, used to tell plumbers that. They call me and say, man, look, I messed up. Okay. Can you fix it? Like, well, yeah, I'm going to have to do this and this and this. It's like, well, you hadn't left yet. Customer's still yours. Fix it.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're going to lose on it. Well, we'll learn from it.
Exactly.
We told them this is how much it'd be. So we're going to do it right before you leave. And a lot of plumbers are afraid to look at something like that. Like, wait, maybe I can just rig it. Maybe they won't notice. You talked about a plumbing remodel job you had done, and the lavatory faucets are like not where they're supposed to be.
Right.
People notice that. The tub valve not perfectly straight.
Yeah,
people notice that.
Yep.
Before you leave the house, fix it. And I like that. Look, it's a piece of wood. I can fix it. If I mess this piece of wood up, I can cut this one out and put another one in, or we'll start over, whatever it is. When you decided to go in full time on woodworking, okay, and not even full time, but you're doing it enough that you're completely supplementing your income. Did you get to the point where you're making more money on wood than you were driving around patrolling the streets?
I was about halfway there.
Halfway there.
Yeah. If I'd have went full time, I could have
probably made a lot more. Yeah.
I could have at least replaced what I was making. But we were halfway there. I figured it up right before we left, or right before I left State Police. And because people asked me, well, could you take woodworking full time? Because I decided to go content. And I was like, yeah, I could have. But I just have to make that decision one way or the other. But it was about halfway. And at the time, I was a sergeant at State Police, so I had a decent salary going on. So it was making good money woodworking.
So you decide to, in the beginning, start creating content. What is it that makes you say, wow, you know what? I'm just going to do this. Because me, it was trying to grow a business. I literally, my plumbing company, I'd got ripped off by marketing companies. And I'm like, I've got to take marketing into my hands. I've got to do something. Well, the only thing I thought I could do is social media. at the age of 54, I'm thinking that's Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm going to learn Facebook, which is where I discovered YouTube. But I went because I'm trying to use social media to grow a plumbing company. And it works. I mean, social media grew it very well. What is it that takes somebody who's building stuff with their hands, furniture, making money, and say, look, I'm going to start creating content? What's the reasoning behind it? And what makes you just jump off and push the button and go?
No, it's kind of two answers to that same question. So financial is the reason I started doing it. Again, I thought I could make $100 a year, right?
But at this point, you're making some money.
Yeah, I started making some money. One of the things that
because
changed,
I know you didn't quit
no
selling furniture to make $100 a year.
No. So one of the things that changed everything was you've probably heard of Sean Cannell from Think Media.
You bet.
And so I was watching his live stream.
I know Sean, great guy.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, love him today. He's an amazing person. I will make sure he sees this. Yes.
And so what happened was he was doing, I can't remember if it was a live stream or just a regular video. And he was talking about affiliate marketing. And I had dabbled. I had an Amazon affiliate account, right? And like most people do, that's what you start out with. And
you know, his first video was affiliate marketing.
Oh, yeah.
He literally grabbed 10 things around the house and made a video.
Yeah.
This is why you need this for Father's Day or Christmas or whatever it was.
And he was talking about it, but he pulled up his Amazon account and he showed what he was making every month at that time. And he hadn't even hit 1 million subscribers. I think they're over 2 now. I don't think he was at 1 million subscribers when he showed that. And
check out Think Media if you want to know more about Sean Cannell. He's a rock star.
Yeah, he's awesome. And so I was like, holy crap. This dude is killing it. You know, he's got all this, you know, he's making videos. I know he's making ad money. With that affiliate money, he's making really good money. And I was like, I had been like putting links in the description of, you know, whatever tool I was using and stuff. I was like, okay, well, that's an option. There's another revenue stream. Cause I've always,
maybe another 100 a year.
Right. I was always wanting to, you know, diversify the income because I knew I'm in small town USA. We've got less than 10,000 people in my little town. And, you know, the customer base there is small. And I had Etsy, which give me the US. So, but still, you're still kind of pigeonholed into a niche, you know, making small products. And I saw this, he's making this affiliate money. And I was like, ad revenue, woodworking revenue, affiliate money. It's another income stream. And I remember when I got my first payout on Amazon, it took me months to get $25. And I was like, $25. Like, I don't know. I guess I was thinking small, but it worked out because
no, I mean, you're a quarter way to your extra $100 a year right there. Yeah. But no, I love that. And this is one thing I try to teach people is, look, if you can make $25, you can make $250. You make $250, you make $2,500. You can make $25,000. You can make what you want to make. You've just got to say, look, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to water it. I'm going to watch it grow. I'm going to tend it. I'm going to work on it. And then one day you wake up, it's like, I made $2,500 this month.
Well, here's the way I've kind of looked at it or thought about it over the last several years. Yeah, I made $25 and it took me a couple of months, right? YouTube's the greatest platform on earth as far as social media.
I agree.
I posted a video 5 years ago. It's still getting me ad money. It's still getting me affiliate money. Every time you post a video, it's compound interest. Mm-hmm. Every time. We've got 1,000 something videos on the channel. There may be a video that doesn't get watched every day. That's fine. But it gets watched a few times a month. Some gets watched thousands of times a month. But every time somebody watches a video, you're getting ad revenue. And if they click a link and go buy something, you get a percentage of that. It's small, but
yeah.
When you
pennies on the dollar.
When you spread that over several million views a month, like it's huge. Like it turns into compound interest, literally. And so every time you post a new video, like you just add into your compound interest. And that's where Sean Cannell, my mind shifts changed when I was like, oh, this is real. Like this is real money. And you can really make a business out of this, just diversifying the income using different methods. And so that's where it really, really started changing my mind. And that's how things progressed from probably 2018, late 2018, 2019. And then the channel really took off in late 2020 during the pandemics, where most woodworking channels took off, but it really took off. And so we were building stuff, and I was showing tool reviews, and the tool reviews were doing way better than the build videos. And you just start looking at the data, like what will people actually watch? And they watch the tool videos or tips and tricks. And so as I watched that, I just started transitioning the channel slowly over time. And you have those that was with me during the build phase, and they really want to see more builds. And I understand that. But when you're growing a business, running the business, you have to go with where the data is taking you. And the data just keeps pointing this way. And I would try to do a build video, and it would just tank. And I would do more tool videos, and they would do better over time. And August 2020 I did a video called 5 Woodworking Projects That Sell. I've never had an original idea in my life. I saw another channel do this, and I thought,
it's called R&D. It's not research and development. Exactly. It's rip off and duplicate. Just don't do the exact same way.
And so I saw them post it. I was like, there are 5 products we're selling. And I was like, I have 5 products that sell like crazy. And so I showed that video. And I'm a Christian, outspoken Christian. I always wear Christian shirts on my channel. And the reason is, on that video, I wore a In God We Trust shirt, and people kept commenting on the shirt. I was like, okay.
Don't have a link for that yet.
Well, I didn't have a link for that. And I said, you know what? It was reaching people differently. And so much like Sean, Sean's a Christian, outspoken. And I was like, I was like, that resonated. And so I ordered a bunch of shirts. Christian shirts, and I don't Bible beat people.
Right.
I don't think that's the way to do it.
It's a soft message,
right? And so from that point, I made it a purposeful decision to wear my faith on the channel.
I love that.
And that was in August of 2020, and in May and my wife and I started praying for it to go full time, praying for God to make it happen. There's a great book called The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson, and he talks about praying circles about what you want. My wife and I would literally walk around our house praying for it to happen. And I was so tormented by leaving the state police. It was such a torment. Like, I was just so worried. Like, I had, like you said earlier, I had a pension. I had full insurance for my family and me. Steady paycheck.
You don't have any of that anymore.
No. Steady paycheck. Every 2 weeks, it's going to hit that bank account. And I was so worried about leaving that security and going full time with myself, because at the time we had like 130,000 subscribers. So it wasn't even like it was a huge channel, in relation to where we're at now.
120
or 130,000 subscribers.
Okay. And this is what year?
2021.
Okay. So you were already growing pretty good.
Yeah. We had went from 20,000 in August of 2020. We had went from 20,000 to 100,000 subscribers in like 2 months because of that video, the video where I wore the In God We Trust. It popped. It was like 1 million views like that, subscribers coming in like crazy. And then that's when I decided to basically go all in on full time. And we talked about it earlier. I don't think we talked about it here, but I was doing really well with woodworking, was making a lot of products. And my wife and I talked about it. It's like, look, we can either double down on content, or I can just keep doing what I'm doing and keep with the woodworking stuff. I said, but I think if we let this, because I couldn't do both. Time doesn't allow it. I think, these stove covers were making like 30 grand a year just on stove covers. And I said, we need to let that go. And she says, okay.
This video is sponsored by High Level. We've partnered up with High Level because we believe this is the best all-in-one sales and marketing platform to help you grow your business. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield.
She never questioned it. And
for a lot of people, that's a full-time income right there.
Oh yeah, very much so. It was good money.
That's a $15 an hour job.
And that doesn't even include, what we were making locally, doing custom work. And so I was just like, we got to do it. We got to do it. And so from about December of 21 through May of 2021, so we're talking about 4 or 5 months, I was just like, eat up. I couldn't sleep. I was like, I really believe God was leading me to go full time. And I just kept questioning him. I was like, are you sure? Like, what are you doing? And I was working out one morning. It was in May. And my little home gym, I got in the corner, and I was putting a weight plate back because I was like, are you sure? Like, this is crazy. Full-time YouTube, leaving state police. I was literally up for the lieutenant spot. Now, you have to, do the testing and all that stuff to get paid. But I had a good chance of getting. Yeah,
you had 15 years experience. Yeah. At that point, you're like, look, I know what they're going to ask.
Yeah, I had been sergeant for a while, and lieutenant was the next spot up, and he was fixing to retire, and the captain and lieutenant both were like, you've got a really good spot. You know, it's just, you know, they were kind of gearing me up to be the lieutenant.
You bet.
I was like, man, that's desk job right there. No more going out at night, no more, you know, late nights or anything. I was like, it's going to be gravy from this point on. And then I was like, I'm just giving this up. Like it was torturous, you know, mentally. And my wife and I had been talking about it for months, and she's like, you do whatever you think you should. And anyway, I was tormented that morning, and I'd been praying so hard. And I tell all the time that I've heard the voice of God basically speak to my spirit, not like the booming bush or anything, but I went to rack my weight plate back, and as soon as it clanked, and I heard him say, I created the universe. I got this. Instant peace.
Right.
Instant. I was like, okay, it's Friday morning. Friday morning. I was off that Friday. I walked in the house. I told my wife, I said,
this time.
Monday morning, I'm turning my 2 weeks in. And I woke her up and told her, she's like, okay. And so she's a warrior, but during that time, she never worried. Walked in Monday morning, the captain lieutenant always in his office every morning drinking coffee. I walked in there and I sat down. I handed him a piece of paper, my resignation letter. And I said, Captain, this is my 2 weeks notice. I'm leaving 2 weeks. He had zero idea it was coming. I blindsided him, I guess. And they didn't know I was thinking about it or, anything.
Right. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to make videos.
Exactly. I mean, he knew I had a channel because he's a woodworker too. And so he'd watch the channel, and we always talk woodworking and tools and stuff. Great guy. I feel bad that I blindsided him, but it was just one of those things. It's a personal thing,
Right.
And he's like, are you nuts? And my lieutenant,
Yeah,
he's like,
maybe.
Are you crazy? Because my lieutenant had been my sergeant for years, and my lieutenant, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, you're probably going to be lieutenant, right? I was like, no, I'm leaving. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, man, look, I said, I believe God's leading me to do this. I said, there was a man one time I was told to go do something, and he didn't do it, and he wound up in the belly of a fish, and I don't really like fish that much. I was like, so yeah, we're doing it. And I never had any doubts about it. Now, it was scary.
Oh, yeah.
Jumping off out of the boat onto the water, scary, right? And we got out there, and and
it's not just jumping off the boat in the water, it's jumping in the water knowing there's sharks everywhere.
Yeah. And like I said, we weren't making big money at the time, but I thought we could grow it from where I was at. Because when I took off or left the state police, it wasn't like I was replacing a salary. At that time, content hadn't even replaced my salary yet. But what we did was we took, I don't know if this is smart or not, but we took a, what do you call it when you remortgage your house or whatever?
Yep.
And we took
home equity loan or whatever it is.
Yeah, we basically refinanced the house and took the equity out of the house and put it in the bank, and it was basically my annual salary we put in the bank.
Right.
And we was like, well, if this doesn't work,
right,
at least we'll have this much money to cover the bills.
Got a year.
Yeah. So we got a year to figure it out. And it took about 3 months to basically replace what I was making the state police. And then from there, it's just grown over time.
And I love these stories because when I found out about YouTube, I knew nothing about it.
Oh, I didn't either.
That's why when the guy up there was talking, I thought he's stupid. He has no idea what he's talking about. Now he's my coach. But the funny thing about it is whenever I turned around to stand up and walk out and saw the back of the room, standing room only, I'm like, okay, this guy apparently knows something. I still had no idea I could make money at it. I had a plumbing company. It was struggling due to marketing companies, but I knew the potential. And I thought, if I can ever make the phone ring, I'm good. Well, that's not always the case. If you're losing money on every job you do, the more it rings, the more money you're going to lose. So I had to learn a lot of other things along the way. But learning YouTube, I talk to plumbers or apprentices now. I'm like, learn now. Set up a camera, video what you do, post it, and just say, hey, man, so great working at ... I got to install a new tankless water heater today, ... Have you thought about a tankless water heater for your house? Just it's a question. You're talking to them. Now your community at least knows what you do. And when I travel around and speak now, I asked them, how many of y'all post about what you do, about your job, about how much you love it? And most people never raise their hand. It's like, so your friends don't even know what y'all do. You're a real estate agent and your friends don't even know what you do. And they're like, well, I don't want to post about it. I didn't say try to sell them. It's not like, hey, let me sell you a new house today.
Yeah.
It's, hey, this is what I do. And I help Matt and his wife find this beautiful house, and they love it. And what's the neatest thing about it is the park right down the road that they didn't even know was there. So right after we signed, I took them to this park, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. You're not selling.
Yep.
But they're like, man, I like this. So there's a completely different way to look at it. So I love that you're just like, look, I'm going to go in. I'm not making enough money here to replace my salary yet, but I can.
Well, that, and, like you was talking, I was watching Think Media, Sean Cannell. I was watching everything they do. Daryl Leaves, watching everything he did. And right when I was going full time, I joined Channel Jumpstart. And you can look, and I believe in, getting help from somebody who knows more than you, right? I can't tell you, I've spent more hours studying YouTube, the business of YouTube, than I have anything else in my life. More than the state trooper, which was 6 months of troop school. Like, I've spent more hours trying to figure out YouTube itself and anything that goes around and into YouTube than anything else. And when I joined Channel Jumpstart, it was in the May of 21, April actually. And, it's not a inexpensive course to go through, but it's worth every single penny. Because in August, when I when I got through with the course in August of 2021, you can literally see the analytics on the channel. When I started implementing his strategies, it just literally turns a straight up arrow. And he shows this in all his media stuff where he's talking about it, and it works like it does. And and I tell everybody when they ask me about YouTube, I'm like, go see that guy. He knows what he's talking about. I
tell them, read the book. Start there.
That's what I do.
Grab that book, read the book. As soon as you're done, you're going to be like, I want to learn more.
Yep. I tell them the exact same thing. I say, first thing you do, go get the book. It's like a 30,000 foot overview of.
You bet.
I said, give you a general idea of what's going to happen in that course. I was like, but it'll still make a huge difference, just the book, because he gives away a lot of good information in there. Mm-hmm. And then you go, it said, if you're still interested, go get that, and it'll really change things for you.
I'll tell you a neat story about Sean. First time I met Sean in person, and I'd seen him, I'd watched him, learn from him. We're speaking at an event together, and really he's speaking. I'm there hosting a panel or something. And we go to the speaker dinner, and I go in, I sat down. Couldn't get the seat that I wanted over at another table with some people that I knew. So I sat down, and then Sean Cannell sits next to me, and Roberto Blake sits right across from me. And they're talking business. And all of a sudden, they both turn and look at me and say, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a plumber. And start talking about it. And they're like, you need something to sell. And I'm thinking, okay, wait, what kind of new tool do I make? It's my thought exactly.
Yeah.
But I sat and talked to them, and he's just the nicest guy. Now, I had driven to the speaker dinner because I knew where it was, and it was here in Dallas, so I know my way around. I live here. And I was in my Jeep. And so whenever I pull back up and park, the bus with all the speakers pulls up. And I thought, well, I'll wait on all them to get out, and then I'll go in. So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to my stepson on the phone, who helped me grow YouTube. Whenever I walked in from meeting Daryl, I walked in and said, we're starting YouTube, and we need to get on YouTube, figure out how to do YouTube. And that's what we did. Well, he's the one who helped me get started. And Sean literally gets out, and I guess he looked around and saw my Jeep, and he comes walking over. And so I rolled on the window. I'm talking to Will, and I'm like, hey. He said, how are you? I said, man, I love your Jeep. So really, he said, yeah. I said, look, I'm talking to my stepson here. He's helped me. I said, Will, this is Sean Cannell. Sean Cannell, this is Will. And Will's like, wait, that's Sean Cannell? And I'm like, yeah. And he literally comes around, climbs up, sits inside the Jeep. And he's talking to Will, and he's like, man, look what y'all are doing is good, yada, 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 and all this. And you're starstruck.
Yeah.
And I used to be a bouncer and a bodyguard here in town. I worked with Garth Brooks and George Strait. And even, last night I'm sitting next to Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, I wouldn't even know what to say. Me and him, we're talking like we're best friends, knew each other.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes, he's given me a cell phone number. He's like, hey, let's stay in contact.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the real Sugar Ray Leonard. So it's like, man.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to him and I'm just like, I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, Sean Cannell is sitting in my Jeep.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
The nicest guy on earth. 2 days later, he interviews me. I'm walking. He's like, hey, man, can you sit down? Can we interview you? And he's like, so you're a plumber and you're on YouTube and making content. A heart of gold.
Yeah.
And I remember right before COVID, I was in Vegas at a conference, a home builders conference. And I get a phone call and I answer it. It's Sean. I'm like, because we exchanged numbers too. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, Sean, Roger Wakefield, how are you doing? He said, man, I'm doing great. How are you? I said, I'm doing great. I said, you're in Vegas, aren't you? He said, yeah. I said, well, it just so happens I'm here. He said, yeah, that's cool. He said, that's neat. And we talked. He said, would you be interested in speaking at my event? And I'm just like, yes. COVID happened. So that never happened. But I was like, greatest thing on earth.
Yeah.
Now, anytime anything cool happens, I think he might be interested. I'll text him or share it with him. And he's just, him and his wife, amazing people, babies now, raising the family, doing all that. And he's still one of the most down to earth, amazing people. So yeah. It's pretty neat. So I love it when people talk about him. And I've literally had people go to VRA, his live, and they'll take pictures. It's like, Sean Cannell's talking about you. He's using you in his presentation. It's like, that's cool. A good thing. Yeah. That's a good thing. So kind of neat. What's next for you? No, number one, your channel's growing. Channel's growing amazingly. I mean, if you open another channel, you might be able to make another $100 a year.
Might.
It could happen.
I've got an idea.
You got a boss.
Exactly.
Run it by the boss.
Yep. Yeah.
What's next for you? Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're in a great spot.
Right.
You're comfortable. You're doing good things. You get recognized a lot out in public.
Yeah. More and more.
Does that blow your mind?
It does.
Literally, I'm at AT&T Stadium last night, and some guy walks by and literally slaps my shoulder. So you turn and look.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I love your videos.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I'm on TikTok too. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I mean, Instagram. Right. I do all of them.
Right.
I started with YouTube, and then how can I branch? And he said, dude, I watch you on TikTok. And I'm thinking, wait, TikTok? It's like, oh yeah, I do that too, don't I? First time that ever happened, I'm in Waco at an event down there, networking event. And we go eat lunch afterwards, and we get ready to leave. And this guy walks up and says, hey, he says, I'm the general manager here. Can I ask you a question? I said, yes, sir. He said, do you make videos or something? I said, yeah. He said, I got a busboy back there that is just like girl crushing on you. He said, do you mind if I bring him out and introduce you? I said, no, Brett, bring him out. I said, well, we'll take a picture or whatever. So he brings out and we get to talking. And he says, man, I watch your videos all the time. He says, what you do on TikTok? And I'm like, TikTok? I'm like, oh my God, we do TikTok, don't we? Yeah. It always blows my mind. It just surprises me because I think I'm a YouTuber.
Exactly. It's surprising when somebody notices you. Not, in a good way. You're amazing. Appreciative of, they taking the time to watch your videos and then take the time to come over and say something, and I always appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of, you're like, me,
So do you carry swag with you or anything like that?
No, I told my wife, I was like, I want to get some, she just got a laser. I was like, police always exchange challenge coins. And I told her, so we should do some wooden coins, like wooden challenge coins for people that see us in public. And they would just be for anybody that comes up to us in public. That's the only time you can get one of those. Thought that would be kind of a neat idea.
I like that.
We're going to do that. So yeah.
That's neat stuff.
As far as what's next, I don't know. I've got another channel called The Outlaw Effect that I was going to do non-woodworking stuff on, and I just don't have time to put stuff on there. I'm probably going to transition that into a clips channel. I've been seeing a lot of people, especially like the podcast stuff, they'll do clips of the things. And I think because I do so many videos that have multiple tools in them, it's like a bucket. You know what a bucket is?
Oh, yeah.
5 tools videos where it's like 5 exciting new Ryobi tools. I could literally break those up into individual tool reviews, basically mini reviews, and put them on that other channel just for search traffic. I think that would probably do pretty well over time. Again, compound interest.
You bet.
And so I'm probably going to start doing that. Get an editor to just kind of chop those videos up and throw them over there. But we've started a tool company called Faith Valley Tools. We started that last year. We're slowly growing that. We're not taking on any debt or anything. One of the missions of that is to give 10% to Christian missions of profits. And so we've been able to, every quarter we're giving that. And so we've been able to do that a few quarters now. We've got our own tools on there, but it's hard coming up with a unique idea, right? It feels like everything in the sun's been created, and it's hard to come up with unique tool ideas. So I'm not sure at this point if we're going to continue down that road. We have a couple of more tool ideas we want to put on there, or if we're going to basically just use it as a way to sell tools, like get regular everyday stuff like you can go to Amazon and get, or, the major stuff for woodworking. But you'd have to have a warehouse and all that stuff to ship all that stuff out of. So I'm still not sure about that. I think I like the trajectory it's on so far. We just kind of a niche products and things. We have a chronicle. We call it the Woodworkers Chronicle, where it's got basically a project planner and order tracking, handwritten, old school for woodworkers. As far as I know, the only one out there specifically for woodworkers. And so we're going to keep iterating on that and maybe come up with a couple of other small products like that just to have physical product. One thing I know is YouTube won't last forever. It's one of those things that
wait, don't tell me that.
Well, I mean,
I'm making a living over there.
Yeah, but if I go, like, what's my wife going to do?
You bet.
Right thing. And so starting to try to think about how we're going to monetize or how we're going to make a business out of, or spin a business out of this, right? And that's kind of what Faith Valley Tools idea is so that if something does happen to me, while there will be residual money coming in for a while, it tapers off, right? If you're not posting new videos regularly,
slowly
it will die off. And it's just the nature of things. And we all know, if you just watch the history of any YouTube channel, like, you just look at them, even the biggest ones, they'll peak and then they just start falling off. And a lot of times it's just because it's not that YouTube stops showing them, it's that the creator burns out or just
gets really complacent.
Exactly. And so you start, I don't really feel like making a video today, or whatever, And
I still love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
I do too. I love doing it. I create all my thumbnails. I need to hire that out. It takes up so much time, but it's just one of those things that I just enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy when I find a new tool, or I get excited about tools. I'm just passionate about them. I love them. And I love being able to share that with people and tell people this is my thoughts on it. And I'm not always right, but I was like, for my money, when I was coming up and had barely anything to spend, would I spend my money on this? It's kind of the angle I try to take on a lot of the budget tools. And then you can show some more higher end stuff if you have a more budget, the higher end tools, Festool and woodpeckers and all the more expensive tools, because people want to see those. So I try to keep that in mind too and serve a broader audience and try to keep it a broad audience, because I don't want to niche down too much and just try to grow it from there. But over time, I think eventually something will happen and the channel won't. It's just the nature of things. Like, at some point it either I go or something happens. Right. And so we're trying to spin things off for the future to keep something alive, so that my wife, and I would love to get my kids on board, but they've all got their own things, and we do. My youngest son does help, in different aspects of the business, off camera. And my daughter and son are both school teacher and a professor, so they don't, they have their own career paths.
Right. They're not worried about you. Your dad, you're doing good. Yeah. Just keep doing what you do.
And so it's not like they're going to inherit a family business at some point, most likely, but they might. You never know if the tool company takes off and, they may step into that role at some point. But I don't know, we're just always looking for another opportunity, but while also taking care of what's taking care of us. I don't want to abandon that,
right?
And, because that is, what we do. My wife left school teaching, comes home, she does it full time now on the off camera side, right. And she has her own stuff going too. She does fashion and stuff like that, and home decor, and she does that type content. But she does all the bookkeeping, all the, gets everything ready for she does all the orders. We actually make Outlaw's board butter. It's a physical product we sell for cutting boards, and she makes all of it in-house. And so she makes hundreds of cans of that a month. all by herself.
I love it.
And packages it all up. She does all our orders, our physical orders from our store, ships all those out, multiple orders every morning. So she's busy. She's busy.
I'm a cutting board guy, so I love stuff like, I like the big, what is it, a turkey board or a brisket board that it's got the juice rail around the edge and handles on it. Cause I mean, I like big, and I've got some made with custom woods, and it's just, they're all one off. Yeah. And I used to buy them every year for all my plumbers, and it's like, okay, these are neat, but having good cutting board oil is a big thing.
And that's one of the things I think we could do better at on the Outlaws board butters, to get it distributed better into other places, that other people can sell it for us. We sell it to them at wholesale, and then they sell it. That's one thing that we want to pursue as well. But it's just, it takes time and money. That's all it takes.
So take just a second, tell everybody again who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
Matt Outlaw, 731 Woodworks, 731woodworks.com, or at 731 Woodworks on all social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn on Matt Outlaw. But I don't use Threads. I'm on X. I don't use it a lot. But
yeah, I don't use much of them a lot. There's some of them, it's like, okay, I'm there.
Yeah. But I pretty much repurpose content for, I say repurpose it.
All your other platforms.
Yeah. YouTube's the main thing, and then everything else after that.
From talking, going to give you a product line idea. I don't know if you know this. Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah.
He worked with wood.
That's right.
So there's great opportunity there. I still love the sawdust therapy. Yeah. Well, Jesus was the first one to use it. He's working on wood. He thinks. So anyway, ideas there for your own shirts. Yeah. Because people would buy those. Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot. Where do you get shirts? Where do you get shirts?
You bet.
Where do you get shirts? We've got some on our channel, on our store, 731 Works. I got a guy that designs them for me. I bought a URL based on Faith Valley, and I just haven't. For one, it's time, right?
I get it.
But yeah, we want to get our own clothing line and stuff on that.
Good.
Or actually gear, not just clothes.
I like it.
It's faithvalleygear.com. I've already bought the URL, and I think that would do well and still serve the same mission as Faith Valley Tools, so we could be able to give percentages of proceeds, and continue the mission. But it's just finding the right designs, and getting it all set up. Main thing is I don't necessarily want to do so right now all of our shirts are drop ship, right, from some company, and the quality you never know. Like maybe this run works good, and then maybe the next run, every time you wash it twice and the thing's gone, the logo's gone. And so finding a good supplier right there would probably be key. And
I can help you with that.
Oh, cool.
I'm fixing to have my own shirts designed. So this is something I've been working on for a while. Yeah. Make sure you get the name Sawdust Therapy, get the URL, because if you don't, by the time this comes out, somebody else will. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's something about that. Yeah. Don't know what it is. I saw a football coach speak one time. He says, God doesn't scream and yell at you. God's that little voice way back in the corner of your head that you either choose to listen or you don't.
Right.
But it's there. So, yeah, I don't know why I keep coming back to that. Yeah. Tell me about the worst day you've ever had at work.
Currently? I mean, state trooper is always having to tell somebody their family member's not coming home, right? Probably the worst one was I was working a wreck just south of where I live. It was on Christmas Eve or right there around Christmas, I don't remember the exact date, and it's cold. I pull up as 18-wheeler versus a regular passenger truck, and it's bad, like bad. Truck's gone, and most of the person there is gone. And so as soon as I pull up it's a fatal wreck, and I get out, truck's on fire, big truck's on fire. He got out, he's fine. And, but this kid is dead. And I grab his license. The EMTs hand me his driver's license, and I just stick it in my pocket. I didn't even look at it because I have other things going on. I got to, get this thing secure and take.
I can already tell you how this ends.
Yeah. I'm working a wreck, and so I got to get my measurements and photos and all this stuff. And I go back, and I'm sitting in my car doing some stuff on the computer, and my phone rings. I'm like, it's my brother. I'm like, so I answered the phone. I was like, what's up, man? He's like, are you working a wreck? I said, yeah. He says, "Is it Jesse?" Jesse. I pull it. It's his wife's brother. And I was like, "Oh man, it is." He's like, "That's what I thought." He said, "We couldn't get him on the phone." He says, "I'll tell his wife." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm going to his mom and dad's house now." And that was tough because that kid had been in my house for Christmas. Like this. That was a tough one.
That'll break your heart.
Yeah.
Tell me about the best day you've ever had at work.
I don't know. That's a tough one too. Really, probably just the day I walked in and told my wife I was quitting state police, and she said, "Okay." Like having her just right there with me.
Support's amazing.
Yeah. And she's the greatest woman alive. I'm telling you, she goes, like just supports me in every which way. I try to do her the same way. I tell a friend of mine gave me this analogy, and I'll tell you till the day I die. It's like, he says, draw a triangle, write God at the top, write her name here, your name here. He says, the closer you two get there, the better off you'll be. The further away you get, either one of you,
apart you are.
the further apart you are. And it's true. Anytime in my life that I have not put her first, it's caused problems. We've never like done any bad things against each other or anything like that. But it's just like when we was talking a while ago, when things get out of balance, like when she's not my priority, if for whatever reason things start getting out of priority, it causes problems at home, right? And anytime you can get that back in balance, it makes things better, you know. And we've been married since July 31st, aka 7/31. That's where the number come from. July 31st, 2000. We met on July 31st, 1999. And so 1 year to the day we got married, and that day changed my life. And so being able to tell her that I was leaving the state police and going full time as a YouTuber, and her just saying, "Okay, let's do it."
It almost sounds funny. You know, it does.
Yeah. And her saying, "Okay, let's do it." It's like one of the greatest days ever.
I love that. The day you graduated high school, go home, go to bed that night, do whatever. You wake up Monday morning. It's time to go to work. It's time to get a job. It's time to do something. Little Matthew walks out the front door, and you're standing there right now. What advice do you give him?
Oof. Hang on, buddy. It's going to be a ride. I honestly always thought I would die before I was age 21. I just had that in my mind for some reason.
Man, you and me both.
Did you really?
Yeah, people used to tell me, man, by the time you're 30, it's like, I will never make 30.
Yeah,
There's no way.
I didn't make any future plans because I never took it serious. I just assumed I would be dead by the time. I don't know why. I didn't live a dangerous life or anything.
And see, I did. My mother tells a story about God praying over me when I was a baby.
Yeah.
A baby. And I've always lived life like, look, God's got me. He's right here on my shoulder. I'm good. Yeah, I'll take this motorcycle and see if it'll do that.
No, I did that.
I get it. But I mean, I've done stuff that, you know, most people be like, dude, you could have died. It's like, I know, but I didn't.
Yeah. And
it's like you don't think about it.
Yeah. Well, advice, I would just say, you know, follow your heart, follow what God's telling you to do, and everything's going to work out. You know, before I became a trooper or before I became a firefighter, I just assumed I would do what my brother and dad do, which is construction and pipeline and stuff. It's kind of the road I was going. If I had not taken or not opened the paper that day and saw that there was a firefighter position open in Warren, Arkansas, they have 3 full-time firemen. And if I'd have never opened that paper and saw that, my life would be totally different now. I saw the ad and I joked with my wife. I said, boy, it'd be cool if I was a fireman. And she's like, well, I know the mayor's secretary. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, let me call her. She calls her right there. And she calls her, secretary answers the phone. Oh, the fire chief's right here. You want to talk to him? Yeah, come in Monday morning or whenever, next day for an interview. Okay. Show up, got hired. And when I got hired on the Arkansas State Police 3 years later as a dispatcher, the guy that hired me, the lieutenant, he said, if you had never worked for the fire department and had radio experience, we would have never hired you. There was somebody else that they would have hired. And so, you know, I just always felt like God was opening doors constantly.
I love that.
And as I was a trooper, loved it, man. It was so fun. It was fun. When you get to having to choose which way to go, you know, it was tough to leave. But I just believed he was opening another door, you know, and I saw the opening and had the faith to jump out in it, you know, and it's been a wild ride, you know.
I love it. Man, this has been fun.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.